The Royal Enfield Bear 650. I'm convinced it's a polar bear. Fearsome, cute, and you're not going to see a lot of them. The animal's sadly on the way to extinction. I want to say bye to this. And the truth is, I love, like really love, half. And the other half, I want to hold my head and I want to cry. In here is the King, Queen, Jack, and Ace of Royal Enfield's 650cc lineup. But what they've played is very far from a good hand. Should you buy one? There's no obvious answer. And most of the issues do have easy but not cheap solutions. But here's the thing. You shouldn't have to. The Bear is meant to be a cool scrambler based on the Interceptor 650. Hyped on a tail from 14,000 kilometers away 64 years ago. That sounds distant, but this is a really simple bike to appreciate. It's fantastic to ride in how you sit, the updated engine, and just how good it looks. Frickin' nailed it. And when you think you're going to have a ball, Royal Enfield drops it. Once more. The suspension's as stiff as the British upper lip. The tires are good, but you can't really feel them. And the brakes are powerful. There's no feedback. It's like going to watch Die Hard at the movie theater. Bruce says, "Yippee-ki-yay," power cut. Involuntarily, you say John McClane's next dialogue. The Bear's forebear is the Interceptor 650. From there, we've got a more relaxed steering geometry. Tires and tire sizes are new. This is a 1917 in setup versus the Inti's 1818. There's brand new suspension with more travel at both ends too. Royal Enfield also spruced up their bare bones but lovely 650 twins, so the Bear has a gummy bear's worth more horsepower and more torque everywhere, peaking at 4 Newton meters over the Interceptor. What else is new? I have a list, hang on. Himalayan headlight dash foot pegs, Super Meteor adjustable levers, shotgun switch cubes, a brand new seat, Interceptor tank, and the side panel has a new oval added to it, but it's the Interceptor side panel underneath that. And I suppose that means we should appreciate these LED indicators which now debut on the Bear. So how is it to ride? I was going to say let's go, but it feels like Lego. Oh, and if you're not watching from India, maybe the comfort sections of the video do not actually apply to you. Indians, us, we might be the people who buy 84% of what Royal Enfield produces on the average month. But I don't think we are the actual target customers for this Bear. And there's a subtle hint in the hashtag Royal Enfield uses for the Bear. It's called "In Gut We Trust." Would you like to guess which country is famous for having a lot of citizens with a lot of guts? The obvious miss is there's no standard center stand. Combine that with tube tires, punctures are going to be unbearable. And sticking with the obvious, I think you'll want to give this engine a bear hug. The 650 was already a great engine. The extra torque makes everything feel easier and lighter. It's marvelous. In the city, you won't need many gear changes. On the highway, the range of cruise speeds is enormous, and at all of those speeds, there's instant torque available for acceleration. And the new 2-in-1 exhaust, it sounds awesome. Fuel economy? You're going to be roughly in the same place, 23 to 25 kilometers per liter for most. It can drop if you rev the twin out a lot, and for what it's worth, on the ARAI standard test, the Bear is 7 kilometers per liter or something more fuel efficient than the Interceptor. Sitting on a Bear, metaphorically, is dangerous and strange. Sitting on the Royal Enfield Bear 650, it's actually pretty great. The handlebar is taller and wider. The seat is tall, 830 millimeters. It doesn't look like it actually has a shape, but that's a really, really good seat. And together, you sit in a commanding riding position. You see through traffic and over traffic. I loved it. And again, grappling with a Bear is also a strange image to have in your head. But this comfortable, sporty, attacking riding position, I thoroughly enjoyed it. What I think could have been improved is the foot position. On the right foot peg, just behind that is the brake pump. but it's not mounted as close to the frame as it should have been. So it pushes the guard for the pump further out of the bike, which pushes your ankle further out of the bike. And if you ride with your feet flat in terms of horizontal on the foot pegs, it's going to push your ankle out. There's no natural riding position. What you learn is you have to keep the heel on top of the guard, and then it feels as close to normal as it's going to get. Both the foot levers are also going to bug you because there's a kink in the gear lever that interferes with upshifts, and the way the brake lever is mounted, you're going to take a couple of days of riding to get used to it. None of these honestly are deal breakers, but for a bike this premium, it's a little cost cutty. And when the twisties come up, I think you'll find the Bear enjoyable. The wider handlebar gives it good leverage, which means you won't think of it as overbearingly heavy. This is a natural and confident motorcycle, and I think you'll find it quite responsive to your intents. The problem is, these MRFs look like Scorpion STRs, but they're not that good at giving you feedback, so your sense of what's going on at the contact patch, it's kind of vague at best. And if there's even a little bit of dust or water on the road, it's a little bit too easy to spin the Bear up. You're going to have to be cautious with your inputs, and I should insert a traction control joke here, but honestly, I'm not feeling like it. So, no big deal, we'll just get better tires later, right? Well, these are unusual tire sizes. Over the last 2 days of searching, I found just one set, Metzeler Tourans, front and rear both, 33,000 rupees a set at market prices. Everything else, it's either a front or the rear, and that's not a problem if you have enormous experience and you know all of these tires and you can mix and match brands. Otherwise, have patience because the process is actually trial and error. So what have we said so far? Marvelous motorcycle, strong feelings, feels good to ride, you're gonna feel great. Well, shun that notion. The big problem of the Bear is rear suspension. Once again, it's too stiff. Now, you get 20 millimeters more travel on the front suspension, upside down forks. You get 30 millimeters extra at the back versus the Interceptor, and they do absolutely nothing until you hit a large bump and you hit it hard. So, normal riding, it's stiff, it's bouncy, it's jarring, and the only comfort upgrade that's free, stand up on the pegs. Comedy, not ovation. So how do I explain the problem? Think your hope from campus placements versus the actual job you get. They're going to say, scrambler. You're going to imagine retro bike, ground clearance, pliant suspension, screaming across the landscape. Rider and motorcycle settled and stable while the wheels move up and down, absorbing that punishment. Karthikeya painted this image with such epic accuracy on MotorInc First. What you're actually going to buy: retro motorcycle, ground clearance, stiff suspension, and the riders moaning as they try to speed across the broken landscape. Nothing is stable, and the whole bike moves up and down, meting out relentless punishment. So, Hunter, Super Meteor, Shotgun, and now Bear. You know, I'm about as bearish about the comfort levels of forthcoming Enfields as I am bullish about their aesthetics. But do go get a test ride. Work out if you can live with this suspension or not. I suspect that if you're 90 kilos or heavier, the suspension might actually feel good for your weight because the reference weight for most suspensions like this is about 67, 70 kilos. But what if you've fallen in love with the Bear and you've decided that you must have one? No problem. First, check with your dealer if they're going to honor your warranty if you were to upgrade your suspension units. 2, I think you're going to need about 45,000 rupees to start with. These are for budget but branded replacement rear suspension units. If you want details, look for the last FAQ in the Bear set on the app. Now I'm going to skip ahead to equipment and features. If you want to know warranty and service information, there's a FAQ just for that. And to see the whole FAQ set in sequence, I think the best place is the MotorInc app. So, equipment. The dash is the same TFT as the Himalayan, which means the design looks great. The screen is bright. Very, very nice. To use the Google Maps integration, you're going to have to leave the phone unlocked. So I'm not going to be using the maps. The menus are confusing to learn, and that joystick has the same quality as a let's see, 1970s Royal Enfield Bullet. The Bear does have 2 riding modes again. The difference between them doesn't amount to much. Stay in performance mode, you'll be fine. And now you get a button which you press, rear ABS turns off, and now your Bear is an off-roader. Listen, it's 216 kilos, those are pretend knobbies, and the suspension doesn't absorb much. If you want to go off-road, you're going to get 2 options. Go hell for leather or go somewhere else. Let's cut the marketing, okay? The Bear will go off-road on flat trails and broken roads, and maybe not comfortably, and technical trails on a Bear. That's the home of the brave and the land of the foolhardy. And just to put a fine point on it, dirt roads, flat trails, that's the off-road feature set of, let's see, the Honda Activa, all 6 generations. If you're now thinking that the Gorilla 450 and the Bear 650 stories have turned out the exact same way, there is a key difference. Mr. Metal versus Plastic, that's unclear on what it wants to be. This motorcycle, Rudyard Kipling, The Jungle Book, this is Baloo. It's sweet, it produces strong feelings, it's a central character in the story, and it does try to help. It is a little bit goofy, and sometimes when it tries to help, it messes things up. That character, I think, is the reason why I keep feeling like we should solve the Bear's issues rather than put the decision, should you buy one, into hibernation. For the last 2 weeks, I've climbed off this thing, turned around and looked longingly back at it, while my back has looked at me with barefaced anger. This motorcycle's made me hate Mumbai's concrete more than this inexcusably foreign suspension setup. I've thought more about the unfixable instead of what should just never have been broken. Nobody wants a Bear in their backyard, and this 650 might be the exception. I wish Enfield had not royally messed the suspension up, because this is the most desirable motorcycle they've made in years and years and years. Designed exclusively for California but made and sold in India, I think it only works if you're a fruit